In Selma, Alabama in the 1960s, more than half of the city was African American. Yet only about 1 of every 50 eligible black voters was registered. Black people who tried to register to vote were often given impossible questions to answer or asked to pay a poll tax they couldn't afford, or they were simply pushed away.
The Board of Registrars is not in session this afternoon, as you were informed beforehand. You came down to make a mockery out of this courthouse, and we're not going to have it.
On March 7, 1965, 600 people, men, women, and children, set out from Selma on a 54-mile march to Alabama's capital, Montgomery. There, they intended to face Governor George Wallace and demand their right to vote. They marched the first 6 blocks, singing as they went. But when they tried to cross the Edmund Pettus Bridge, they were stunned by what they saw. State troopers were lined up, carrying bullwhips and billy clubs, many wearing gas masks, and all in hard hats. The officers moved forward and released tear gas. A 9-year-old girl named Cheyenne Webb was among the marchers.
People were running and falling and ducking, and you could hear the whips swishing, and you'd hear them striking people. I tried to run home as fast as I could. Hosea Williams picked me up, and I told him to put me down. He wasn't running fast enough.
"48 hours later, Martin Luther King arrived in Selma. He had sent telegrams to clergymen, black and white, asking them to join him for a minister's march to Montgomery.
So we are happy to have our white brothers and sisters come from all over the United States to join with us in this movement, and they're going to march.
One of the white clergymen was a Unitarian minister from Boston named James Reeb. In Selma one night, he ate dinner in a black cafe. As he left the restaurant, he was clubbed to death by angry white citizens.
At times, history and fate meet at a single time, in a single place, to shape a turning point in man's unending search for freedom. So it was at Lexington and Concord. So it was a century ago at Appomattox. So it was last week in Selma, Alabama.
President Johnson announced that he was sending a voting rights bill to Congress. He finished by quoting words from the great civil rights song.
And we shall overcome.
We are not afraid.
6 days after Johnson's speech, 4,000 people, black and white, marched from the Edmund Pettus Bridge in Selma to Montgomery, camping out at night and singing songs of freedom. This time, National Guardsmen protected them. By the time they reached the Capitol, 25,000 people had joined the march. 10 years earlier, Martin Luther King was a little-known preacher. Now, he was a world-famous symbol of freedom.